What was your biggest most regrettable? It's not a phase, mom. It's my life that, in fact, turned out to be just a phase and not your life? Being a tattooer, regrettable because of those poor people who have my awful doodles on their bodies. There was a time in my younger days when I was obsessed with death. I wanted to be a hitman. I had convinced myself that I was gonna be an assassin. That lasted a few months. I have a real whopper. I loved anime as a teenager. This was in the 90s, so it wasn't that mainstream yet. Because I had no interest in anything else, I took a year of Japanese. Then because I still had no other ambition or interest, I signed up in the military to go to Japan. For 8 years. Got out. Went to college, and because I still didn't know what I wanted to do, I studied Japanese. By this time, the interest in anime had worn off. But learning culture and history was cool. So, I went to college to learn Japanese as a major. 6 goddamn years. A ton of core classes and not a single interest in any other thing. I was done with the Japanese language at that point. But because near the end, my class literally couldn't be run without me, I stayed. I stayed because I felt like it would be a waste if I changed it. Like everything I had done up to that point was a lie. Here I am with a degree in Japanese language, history and culture, and I'm not at all interested in it anymore. I'm looking for a real job. Have been since I got out of college, but for now I work for a temp company for a Japanese air conditioning company. There was a time when I believed that I wanted to enter seminary and study for the priesthood. Mom said, "It's a passing fancy. You lead an intensely secular life and are only flirting with the idea because you enjoy time spent at church playing your organ as a layperson." She was right. But I wouldn't admit it at the moment. By my junior year in high school, the notion had passed. Trenchcoat phase after I saw The Matrix. Turns out a goofy ducking 13-year-old doesn't look or feel as badass in one as Neo does. Edit. I was a sheltered kid in a sheltered town. I'd heard of Columbine but had not seen the video and had made no connection between the cult and the event. Really wanted a horse. Ridiculously allergic to horses. Also could not afford a horse. I wore a top hat with an anime pin on it for around a year. Met one of my current best friends while wearing it. IDK how he could bear to speak to me after that. My friend and I decided we were going to open a bar in Jamaica with exotic snakes and glass cages in the walls at each booth. We convinced ourselves it would be amazing for at least 2 years in college. It was going to be called Fredro's. My entire family made fun of me for it. Once we got out of college, we realized it was not feasible and joined the office grind. We're also 2 white guys with no ties to Jamaica. I had a posh phase once. Spoke in a terrible British accent. Put my pinky out while drinking tea. Said pardon a lot. My brother told me to stop, so I did. Just the standard. I don't need to go to school. Mum, I'm in a band. When I was 16, I kept my hair dyed blue and kept myself fairly busy earning money to keep buying the hair dye so it would stay that way. One summer, one of our cats, a grey and white one, had to have a leg amputated after being bitten by a snake, and I noticed that the skin beneath the fur was the same color, in the same pattern, as her fur had been, and it was just enough to pass idiot teenage muster. So, I shaved my head with the intention of getting my entire scalp tattooed blue, thinking that when my hair grew back in, it would be forever blue. I even found a tattoo guy willing to do the job, but only if an experimental square inch worked. I'm still blonde, but I do have a tattoo on my scalp that's just a blue square. My mother was too dumbfounded to say anything, and my stepdad just walked out onto the back porch to stare into the yard for a while. It was never brought up again once it was clear the experiment didn't work. I never dyed my hair again after that either. Edit. Fantastic. My highest rated and most rewarded post is one about I was stupid enough to shave my head and get a tattoo because I tried to be a pre-2000 Ramona Flowers forever. Being a mall goth was just who I am. Mom, I am 34 and no longer a mall goth, but I do still look back fondly at all the stupid that I used to wear. It was a lot of fun. Edit. Holy it. I set my phone down for 2 hours and came back to 54 comments. And they're still pouring in. Glad to hear from so many reformed mall goths. It's been a lot of fun reliving the memories. You got me wanting to go out and buy some black nail polish. I was obsessed with the craft in junior high and was convinced that I was a witch. I basically just drew pentagrams all over my schoolwork and wore a lot of rings on my fingers. That's it. I was very into the Transformers when I was a wee lad in the 1980s. One day, I decided to change my name to the name of my favorite Autobot. My name was lame, and I wanted an awesome Transformer name, and I was very insistent that my parents only call me by my new name. Calling me by my old name would cause a big fat tantrum on my part. So for the better part of a week, my poor parents had to call me Wheeljack. Baggy pants. Being a rapper someday and being a professional skater. Sad part is we still have phases as we age. Hit 40 and I had my first time going to get cancer and die phase. Little later it was I'm going to have a heart attack and die phase. I've had friends all seem to go through something similar. That realization of our own mortality. Plus people my age get wanderlust and chase tail or buy a new sports car. Did neither thankfully. I wanted to be a big time hero and save the world from every bad thing. I just played and now. Wanted to be a wrestler. Would put on shows on my trampoline and had a magazine too. Never made it to Mania. Oh god. I was a fedora guy once. I hate myself so much for it. Edit. What the hell happened? I posted this before I was going to sleep and now I got 10k upvotes. Thank y'all. Edit 2. I'm talking about the hat. Scene fashion. I backcombed my hair to hell and back, and got quite a few facial piercings. I still have scars for lol. The worst part was the actual clothes. I still cringe thinking about when I wore these neon blue leopard print leggings with a pink tutor skirt, and all the tacky, cheap beaded jewelry. My mom told me not to leave the house like that and I told her she didn't get it. All the cringe. My anime phase. I don't really watch a lot of anime now but I wouldn't mind watching it from time to time. Especially when I was 13/14 and went through a whole phase of watching this one show and becoming dark because this character was only into dark things and wore the color black all the time. I also remember thinking how super hot he was. Now I don't ever want to remember this time at all. I never got to experience anything like that as a kid. I suppose the closest thing was back when I got into paintball. I was obsessed. Turns out it was just a 3-year phase since the entire paintball community sort of died off all around the same time. Acting like a thug. Being 12 years old from a white middle class family but acting like a career criminal. Born in the streets. Who had done a nickel of hard time in the clink. At the mall on a Friday night giving you the crazy eye with my backward hat and baggy pants. If someone did actually try me we would usually just bump chests and say do something then go ahead then no you do something homie walking in circles with my hands by my side because I'm more concerned about looking gangster than I am about offending myself. 9/10 times nothing would happen but I would definitely chalk it up as a win for my crew anyway. Side note though one of my best homies headbutted a guy with terrible headbutt technique and it knocked them both unconscious. But because my friend woke up and got up first he declared himself the victor. It was surprisingly hard to argue with that logic. Also I had my nickname embroidered on my fitted hat from Lids Lily but because of the calligraphy style font and bad spacing it appeared to read Lal or Lily as most would pronounce it and that sucked ass. Spent like a whole month's allowance on that stupid hat never to be worn again. But also never forgotten by my friends. Sincerely yours, Lily. Dancing to One Direction and thinking I'd be in the background of their music video LMAO. I actually said that this is going to be my career. Oh god. Acting. After years of theater starting in elementary through college. I thought that was it. Loved being on stage. My Korean mom would try and bribe me with fast food and other contraband instead of heading out to classes and auditions. Now I work in IT but still take classes here and there. So, compromise. Anime, emo stuff, MCR and the like. I still am mildly into them but nowhere near the levels I used to be. As much as I hate my emo phase, I don't think I would be who I am now without it. Same goes for anime. For the record I still love MCR. They're a great band. I just don't use them as a substitute for a personality anymore. I used to button the top buttons of polo shirts. I went to a car show once as a teen, and the only newer car there was some chick's PT Cruiser. It was hot glittery pink, and at the time I was obsessed. I insisted that one day I would have a hot pink car, with pink seats, pink dash, pink carpets, etc. I was pretty heavily goth at the time, so my parents just rolled their eyes. Ugh, my tramp stamp. Thought it made me look so hot and flirty. Now I'm a professor and always have to wear high-waisted pants so none of my students ever see it. Edit. Damn it. Why is this my highest rated comment? My idiotic tramp stamp does not deserve this level of recognition. I might as well have cut out the middleman of the actual image and just tattooed I have low self-esteem right above my ass. Being a hippie. Still love nature, meditation and the Grateful Dead. But it's nice to have a clear head and a meaningful career. Capital I. Had a Jedi braid when I was younger. Wanting colored contacts. My vision was fine, but I wanted purple eyes. I still think it would be cool, but I'm not going out of my way for that. I feel like I never experienced life as a teen. I never got to tell my mom she didn't understand me and storm off to my room. Oh my god, I thought I was a redneck. 18F. Only wore camo. Adopted a southern accent. Tried trading in my brand new Infinity for a dirt bike. Not a good chapter of my life. I went through a weird phase as a child where I almost exclusively watched the Weather Channel for a couple of years. This was back in the early 2000s, when there was no entertainment programming, just repeating news segments and local on the 8s. The latter of which I got really excited for. I was also obsessed with watching this stupid slidder show on the local access channel and memorizing the lunch menus for every school in the district. My mom would get angry at me for doing this. She even took me to see a child psychiatrist, who decided there was nothing wrong with me. I was just strange. But really, I was absolutely obsessed with PowerPoint. I made all sorts of presentations in my free time. And I was convinced I would become a professional PowerPoint maker, which no one at the time told me wasn't a thing. It turned out to be a phase because being forced to use PowerPoint today makes me groan. I'd rather spend hours editing a video or writing an essay, especially if the PowerPoint presentation requires an accompanying speech. I find this phase to be regrettable because I missed a lot of great children's shows of the time, like Lizzie McGuire and As Told by Ginger. I just wanted to watch the most mundane, unmemorable things on TV. I became extremely religious in my late teen years. Planned on being a missionary to FARC in Colombia, kind of extreme. My mother tried to tell me that I might feel differently in the future and to be careful. I screamed that, if anything, I wanted to be more extreme. I run a liquor store now and she is kind enough not to rub my face in it. I think she's mostly glad I'm not trying to convert godless drug lord revolutionaries while dodging AK-47 fire. Edit. Colombia. I am not a particularly good speller. My boyfriend when I was 16 that I swore to God was my soulmate. I don't even remember his name now. Sorry mum. I thought I was asexual cause I'd never liked anyone before, and so I told my mom I wanted to grow up and live alone and never find love because people only made you feel worse once they left. Evidently it's worth it and I'm not asexual. My junior year of high school I went through a tortured writer poet phase where I had an emo look and wrote terrible poetry that I posted on my Xanga. Here is an album of some pictures of me I have saved from back then, which were all my Space Xanga profile pictures of course. Those are pretty embarrassing on their own, but even more embarrassing than that is the itty poetry I wrote back then. Here is a screenshot of a folder with some of my poetry from back then to give you an idea of how cringy it was. Edit. Here are some of the poems I could bear to read. I went through an Eminem phase where I decided to speak more urban. It was basically me saying yo a lot and making fulsome gestures with my hands. I would work lyrics into my everyday vernacular like how else do you get to the booty and rap god. Usually they were completely out of context and inappropriate. I called my friends my peoples. I'm cringing into the floor just thinking about it. Edit. Some more phrases that I cooped it for a while. Hollip. Ferials. Dog. Shizzle. West Side. My cat ear phase. I wore cat ears every single day, everywhere. I had like 20 pairs of them. Now everyone thinks I'm a furry. I got a tattoo when I was 21, a fairly big one, because I wanted to show my parents I was an adult and could do what I wanted with my body. I absolutely loathe it now and am looking to get it removed. Or New Kids on the Block was a lifestyle. Thought I was gay, turned out I wasn't. I got really obsessed with being a Christian, buying all the Christianity books, Christian music, like Christian hardcore ska pop punk. I joined a Methodist church and even got baptized and went to all their mission trips and such. I'm Jewish lol, but I got to go to Nick so. Or I made up a girlfriend named Sarah that died of cancer and told everyone how I was depressed and wanted to kill myself. I was 8. When I was 16 I wanted to gauge my ears so bad, but my mom talked me out of it and said I would absolutely regret it. 12 years later, thank God she stopped me. I guess heavy and death metal. Like I still like it from time to time. But I mellowed out now and wouldn't call myself a metalhead anymore. Still keep the long hair that I cut every couple years to let it grow back. Also I'm keeping old Opeth in my playlist at all times. Edit. Remembered one more thing. I thought I was and claimed I was asexual for a short period of time. Turns out I am not at all and actually have quite a high sex drive. But it took taking a better care of my health to see that. Joining the army. A few years and I quickly realized it was a right idea. When I was a teenager, early zeros, I was waiting for my mother to pick me up and was wearing one of those itchy sports wristwatches. It was itching me so I took it off for a second. But then she arrived and because I was struggling to get it back on my wrist, I looped it around the equally itchy chain I had around my neck in a rush to get out the door. My mom asked me about it in the car, and I told her this was my new style and I plan to wear it like that every day. She rolled her eyes. I wore that watch on a chain around my neck every single day for 3 years or so. There are even professional family photos where I'm wearing it because I refuse to take it off. One day, the chain broke and I lost the watch. I was in high school at that point anyway and it was a major lady repellent. So, phase over. You all are hereby formally invited to our blunderiers. Being a huge itch. I was so ducking rude as a teen. Thank God it passed. My straight edge phase for sure. I was in 8th grade and super into hardcore punk. So having smoked weed once and having no sexual experience at all, I decided I was never gonna do any of that stuff. Lasted about 8 months till freshman year when a girl was willing to touch my D. So I threw the whole lot out lol. Had the whole punk rock phase for years in college. Nothing major, just lots of black and lots of rock music. Still love all of that. Just much more balanced now. If I had never come out to my parents as bisexual, my life would have been much different. They threw me out, although I was permitted to stay for a year and save money to move as long as I didn't go out with anybody. I think as an attempt to get me to change my mind, and it altered our relationship forever. Now, with both of my parents dead, it's affecting my relationship with my sister as we attempt to wrap up my parents' estate. As it turned out, I never dated a woman and have been in a monogamous relationship with a man for more than 29 years. Well, I have a live laugh love tattoo. I got 3 Hollywood undead tattoos. There's no going back out of this phase even if I wanted to. Ugh. Calling myself an empath. I grew up being that person everyone leans on and uses for free therapy because I'm sensitive and bad at setting boundaries. Plus people think the outcasts won't judge you. So when I heard of this mystical idea that some people can pluck other people's emotions out of the air, and totally not making guesses based on body language, setting, etc., I knew for sure that was me. Now I look back on that whole friend group where we were all empaths and I cringe so hard. We talked about it like astral projecting and gaining clairvoyance and metaphysically hurting each other with stupid drama. We weren't even kids. We were a bunch of adults pretending magic existed. Due to being a massive Harry Potter fan, my stepsister just assumed I liked Star Wars. I was stupid and embarrassed because saying I wasn't a fan would make me less of a nerd, so I put up with years of Star Wars gifts and collectibles including figurines, Honorsies, PJS, movie tickets, books and so on. I still haven't watched all of them. It only stopped when I moved out of home. I'm 29 and till this day still obsessed with something new every couple weeks. My wife hates it. I used to wear clip-on ties over t-shirts. I really wanted to start a trend and I thought I was so cool and quirky. Can't believe that phase of my life was real lol. Baby doll dresses and combat boots. I'm a product of the 90s. What can I say? Gots. That time when you're a preteen so you buy empty bottles and a leather journal at a flea market and fill the bottles with herbs from the goddamned pantry and weeds you found outside, then you glue those stupid little fish tank pebbles on the journal and bam, you're a witch that can cast spells on that guy in math class. Tom, that said your hair looked stupid. Oh god, I need that to stay in the farthest corner of my closet forever please. I thought I was not like other girls. My scene phase. Huge hair, looked like I had an ass for hair. 100 silly bands. I love boobies. Edk bracelets. So much eyeliner. Crazy music. But I actually don't regret it.